Hello, just a few summary notes to go over bonding. Now, when we look at bonding, there are two types of bonding. We're going to look at ionic and covalent. Now, if we go to the bottom of the atoms, elements, and ions notebook, you have these questions here. These are the ones we're going to look at. So as we go through, pay attention to what part of the atom is involved and what is the goal of the atom. Then, what are in ionic bonding, what's happening, and covalent bonding, what's happening. Okay, when we're looking at the atom has the nucleus with the protons and neutrons in it, and it's the electrons that are traveling outside and going around the nucleus that are the ones that interact and cause bonding between different atoms. Now, in a perfect world, the lowest amount of energy is when there is 8 electrons in the outer energy level. And this is what the atoms are trying to achieve. Now, not all atoms have 8 electrons in their outer energy level, so they will create 8 by sharing or by losing and gaining. And this is what makes up the different types of bonding. So first we're going to look at is ionic bonding.
For example, sodium has 1 in its outer shell, shown as a cross. Non-metal atoms generally have between 4 and 8 electrons in their outer shell. Chlorine, for example, has 7, shown as dots. But all atoms want a full outer shell, so the metal and non-metal atoms do a deal. The metal sodium atom gives its electron away, and the non-metal chlorine atom receives it. Now, they both have full outer shells.
Okay, so let's see what happened here. What we had is sodium, which had 1 electron in the outer energy level, and chloride, which had 7. 8's the magic number. So 1, the outer one from sodium, leaves and joins chloride. Now, because sodium lost a negative, it becomes positive. And because chloride gains a negative, there's now more negatives than there are positives, so it is negative.
Where does the ionic bond come from? Both atoms were neutral, but after trading the electron, the sodium is now a positive ion, and the chlorine is now a negative ion. The oppositely charged ions attract, causing the ionic bond.
Okay, ionic bonds occur when there are positive ions, called cations, and negative ions called anions, and the opposite charges attract, and they are held together by this opposite charge. However, it can be broken up easy enough. That is ionic bonds. Now let's look at covalent bonds.
Atoms. Let's look at water. Again, all atoms want a full outer shell. Oxygen has 6 outer shell electrons, but needs 8. Hydrogen has 1 electron in its outer shell, but needs 2. But rather than swap electrons like ionic bonding, covalent compounds share electrons. The oxygen atom shares 1 pair of electrons with each hydrogen atom. Each hydrogen now has 2 electrons, and the oxygen has 8. All of them are happy. So where does the bond come from? The shared pairs of electrons are negative, and the nuclei of all atoms are positive. The attraction between them is the covalent bond.
Good, and it's this sharing that creates the covalent bond. So think cooperating, covalent together. Now, we will look at the next bit when we talk about water. There is an unequal sharing with the oxygen being bigger will hold the electrons a little tighter, and that's what gives water its unique properties. But for now, you should know that ionic bonds are a result of losing or gaining electrons. You end up with the charged particles, opposite charges attract. Covalent bonds, sharing of electrons, and because they're both holding on to the same thing, they will bond that way. So, hope you felt like you bonded with me. Take care.